Welcome to the American Orchid Society's video presentation on potting orchids. These highlights from a 2.5-hour workshop are just glimpses of the information you can get from one of the weekly classes offered at AOS. Check out our scheduled classes by clicking on the Events tab on our homepage and then click Classes. If you do not reside in South Florida, become an online member and join 18,000 others worldwide who share your passion for orchids.
Hi, my name is Greg Allikas and my website is orchidworks.com, the orchid photo page. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about how to pot orchids. A couple of tools that you're going to need to have when you're potting orchids. Shears. Some sort of a lever. When you're potting orchids, the orchid's best friend is a pair of lineman's pliers. Always put a name tag in the pot. That's rule number one. Rule number two is always sterilize your cutting tools. Okay, let's start with something simple. Let's start with potting up a cattleya. The best time, and really the only time you should pot an orchid, is when you've got green root tips showing. You want to try to get as much of that old media off of the roots as you possibly can. I like to enlarge that drainage hole down there because what you want when you pot orchids is that water needs to go right through the pot. And always use your slotted orchid pots. Don't use anything like a regular azalea pot. You want to put some sort of what we call drainage material in the bottom of this pot to keep the media from compacting down into the bottom and blocking the hole. You want the orchid to be able to walk across the new media. So you don't want to put it in the middle of the pot. What you want to do is you want to place it so that that back cut part is as close to that ridge of that edge of that pot as you possibly can. We're just going to use a proprietary orchid mix here, which you can get this in the AOS gift shop. What the rhizome clip does is exactly what its name says. It goes across the rhizome and holds the plant in place firmly. Okay, so now our orchid's nice and firm in that pot. We put the name tag in it. We're done. Phalaenopsis like to be repotted every year. But we're just going to use a little bit of sphagnum moss for potting up this Phalaenopsis, and I'm going to pot it in a clay pot. Because the Phalaenopsis is a monopodial orchid and it's going to grow straight up off a single stem, you want to put it in the middle of the pot, unlike the sympodial orchid that we just potted. Try to leave it a little loose, lightly packed is good enough. Because there's no rhizome to go across, what we're going to do is we're going to go on either side of the root mass, and that's going to compress the sphagnum enough to hold the plant steady. The leaves aren't going perfectly out like you would expect them to go out, because how we grow our Phalaenopsis is like this, not like this. The conventional wisdom for dendrobiums is to underpot. Any of the dendrobiums that have deciduous canes don't believe that they need small pots. They don't. They're beautiful things to grow. I've got one that's called Dendrobium purpureum. In these canes, they look just like this, but we have to grow the purpureum sideways like this because these canes get as tall as I am. I mean, these canes are like this and they just come way down to the ground. And then on that second year cane, when the leaves drop the next year, it flowers with these bright hot pink pom-poms of flower. This is Encyclia rufa from the Bahamas. Very nice species. Encyclias do not tolerate wet roots. So they probably are one of the best candidates for mounting. I'm going to mount this on a piece of an old dead orange tree. Any way that you can fasten this orchid to this mount will work. You can use bell wire. Some people like to use old pantyhose. I don't have any old pantyhose. The technique that I like to use most is some of this hanger wire. You don't want to twist the wire too much because you'll break it if you twist it too much. That I can tell you.